All right, this video is going to cover questions 8, 9, and 10. They all are based on this context. Are high school students who like their English class more likely to enjoy their history class as well? Here is a residual plot for 30 randomly selected students who were asked to rate how much they liked both English and history on a 0 to 5 scale. A higher rating means the student liked the subject more. Which of the following conditions for inference does the residual plot suggest has not been satisfied? Okay, so which condition? Okay, so there's 5 conditions that we check for inference about a slope. The acronym we use is LINER. Okay, right. The L stands for linear, so a scatter plot needs to look linear. Okay, I can't tell from this because it's not a scatter plot. This is actually a residual plot. Okay. I stands for independence, and usually what this boils down to is checking the 10% rule. Okay, you can't really assess that from a graph. Okay, N stands for normal residuals. So here, what we want to look at is a dot plot of the residuals, and we don't want to see any strong skew or any outliers, right? We don't want to see anything that would clearly suggest a non-normal distribution. Okay, all right. This is not a dot plot. This is a residual plot. Right? You can't see skewness or outliers in this type of graph. All right. E stands for equal SD. So this means that the standard deviation of the residuals should be fairly consistent for all values of the explanatory. And that's exactly what this graph is for, right? We want to be looking at how much variation are in these residuals at different values of x. And we can see here that it's pretty consistent, except in the middle there's a lot more variation, right? It goes from almost a positive 3 to about a negative 3 residual right here in the middle, right? Whereas everywhere else, for the most part, there's a lot less variation. It's just here in the middle. Okay, so for that, we're going to, let's look at choice E. The variance of residuals is roughly equal for each value of English rating, right? That has not been satisfied. It is not roughly equal. There's more variation in the middle for the middle values. All right, let's take a look at question 9. Consider the output for the regression analysis on the situation from question 8. Assume the conditions for regression inference have been satisfied. What does the quantity r squared equals 19.8% represent? All right, this isn't really a Unit 9 question. This is more like a Unit 2 question. Okay, so r squared, okay, little r, capital R doesn't really matter, represents the percent of variation in the response that is accounted for by the model. Yeah. So specifically, we're looking for an interpretation that has the phrase percent of variation. Okay. So I'm immediately drawn to D, right? It says the percent of variation in history rating, right, which was the response variable, that can be explained by the regression of history rating on English rating. Okay, the regression is the model, right? We're using a regression model. All right, I'm going to go with D. All right, number 10, use the computer output shown in problem 9. Which of the following is the 95% confidence interval for the population slope? All right, general formula is point estimate plus or minus margin of error. The specific formula here is B, the sample slope, plus or minus a t critical value times the SEB. All right, so in this computer output, the value of little b, our sample slope, is the second number in the coefficient column. The standard error is the second number in the standard error column. Okay. So just off that alone, we could eliminate A and B, and we could also eliminate E. Okay, A and B have the wrong point estimate, and E has the wrong standard error value. Okay. So between C and D, it's really just a matter of which one has the correct critical value. Okay. Now, the critical value is going to be based on n minus 2 degrees of freedom. If we go back and look, it was 30 randomly selected students, so 30 minus 2 is going to be 28. All right, so let's go to our table here. Okay, 28 degrees of freedom, 95%, so we're looking at 2.048. All right, which is choice D.